In today's video, we are going to cover the critical positions from round 4 of the game. There were actually in the round 4, uh, two decisive games. The first game was between Shekhar Mehmedarov versus Duda, Jan Christoph Duda, and the second one was R. Pragananda versus Niels Grandelius. And we are seeing our first game, and we have the first position here. White has just played the move rook to e1, sorry, e8. It is black's to move, and has an advantage of full pawn. A decisive advantage black has now in this position. And I want you people to pause and think that how you can keep that advantage alive. Black is simply a complete pawn up, but white is threatening take this pawn twice. It's not an easy to calculate on the board actually. You have to think deep. First, you have to protect this pawn. How you can protect this pawn? Best way to protect is by this knight, and the first move is knight to g6. But black has then this threat of rook to e6 check. I have told you that the first move is knight g6, protecting the pawn. Then white has the threat of e6 check. Now I want you people to pause and think that what would be the problem black would have been facing, where his king should move then. Think. Not easy to say. Knight g6 is the first move, protecting this pawn. But what happens when white gives this check, rook e6, where you are going to place your king? And it was actually not easy to calculate on the board. And here actually Duda had the advantage in the game, which he lost. Then afterwards, he made a mistake and then just Shikhar Mahmudarov did not let that mistake go away. So I hope you have calculated. I'm going to show you with the just arrows that knight g6 protecting the pawn, rook check e6. The king can't move over here. It has to move forward. The king has to move forward. Do you see White's next reply? Have you seen that? White plays the move bishop to c7, c2, sorry, and threatening this pawn twice. How to continue? I have told you that it is not an easy one. Knight g6, rook, knight to g6, protecting the pawn on e5, rook e6 check. King has to move forward. King to g5, but now bishop c7, threatening take this pawn twice. The problem is Karen, that you can't move this pawn forward to f4 because this rook can take this knight with check. So, is there a way that you can protect this pawn? Remember, this knight is threatening this pawn. White is threatening to take this pawn with the bishop. But how you can force the knight to take this pawn? Remember, your knight is on g6. This pawn is free to move. So, you would play the move h4. But now what? Calculate, it is not an easy move. Okay, I'm going to show you on the board. Knight g6 was the best move, but now rook e6 check. King moves forward, king to g5. But now move is bishop c2, threatening this pawn. How you can save it? You place the move h4. You force the knight. And here white made a mistake, and that was he played the move rook e3. But the best move for him was to play the move knight e2. And now you just develop your bishop with threat on the rook. And you are just a pawn up. And you have just a winning position. But that why the point is that why he was unable to calculate this thing in the game. But actually the same happened in the game, and here he made the mistake Shekhar Mahmudarov rook to e3. Now why this was a mistake? Pause and think that why rook e3 by white was a mistake. Here Duda was winning. The point is that this pawn is being threatened by this bishop, but white's knight is also being threatened. So first you take the bishop. After king into c2, you can play the move e4. This is the one version. What is the second version? The second version is bishop to g7. First protecting this pawn twice. This knight is not going anywhere. So if knight takes this pawn, now you rook take the bishop. If knight into h4 because he was losing, now rook c6 challenging the rook. Rook into c6, pawn into c6. Now rook g3 check into h4, rook into knight, and now bishop f8. And rook into c6. Here black has just two pawns, but he's a piece up. White has four pawns, but black was winning. But he missed over here and he made a blunder in the position. White has just played the move rook b4. The position is equal. I want you people to assess the position. White has now two rooks. Black has this one knight and a rook. The advantage black has of this pawn. And if he can use this pawn, he can draw the game. But I want you people to pause the video and think that it is black's to move and draw actually, and creates a position that it is forced draw. It is an endgame. Pause and think. It is not an easy one. Give a thought. Can you play this move immediately? H3? Just think. Can you play this move immediately? H3? Okay. Or you delay this move, playing this move H3. Then what are you going to play? You are left with this pawn is hanging. Are you going to play this move? Just p6 protecting the pawn? or you are going to play any move of this knight. Pause and think. You have three options: playing the move h3. You might be playing the move of knight, or you are going to save your pawn. What is the best move in this position? What is the white threat? The point is that you have to keep in mind that what is the white threat. White threat is playing the move rook c3 check, and you can't go over here because your knight is hanging. I'm going to make different arrows for this. Your knight is hanging, so you will have to move over here. Then he can just pin your knight. After that, he can just take this pawn. You has the advantage of this pawn, but white is threatening to pin your knight. So the first move is of knight, and that was the move knight to g2. And this was the way that black was able to draw a game, because now if white gives the check over here, now knight comes in the way knight e3 check. After now first rook d8 check, rook to d8, d3, after d3 check, king into rook. Now you play the move h3, and it is a 100% draw, because now this rook has to come over here and can't leave, um, look after this pawn on h3. But in the game, he actually made the blunder by playing the move immediately h3, because now white played the move rook c3 check, king g4, cc4, pinning the knight, rook f8, defending the knight. Now rook into b7. Now black played the move h2, but now white is in time to stop this pawn. Black played the move king g3, but now a simple move king b3, getting out of any further checks, and black can't play his king forward because his knight is hanging. So in this position, Duda resigned the game. So we look at another decisive position, and we come to our over here. In this position, I am going to flip the board. In this position, white has just played the move bishop to uh, d3. No, it is not over here. It is over here. Over here. Castle. White has just castled, and it is black's to move. And he has to strongly defend the game. Now, I want you people, you have to find the best defensive moves actually. This game is about your position is down. The reason behind is that white pawn is hitting this pawn over here on f5. This knight is active. White has a battery of queen and bishop over here. This rook has a free file. That's why white's position is better. And it is your task to defend the position and create counterplay. It is black's to move. What is the move which comes in your mind? When I looked at this position, I thought of a plan that why not rook f7, but then I found that it has a flaw. The problem is that it stops this queen from coming over here. And I saw that white is threatening to play after pawn takes. Then he's going to play the move rook pinning this knight, oh sorry, pinning this bishop. I must have some counterplay over here. And the best move in this position was actually queen to h7. Why queen h7 was best? Because if white takes this pawn now, which will be a blunder into this pawn, and black has this open file, and they are also pinning both of these pieces. So white can't take this pawn. His best move is rook a7, threatening this bishop. But now black can continue by playing the move f4. But in the game, actually, black immediately played the move f4. What is the difference? By first playing the move a queen h7 and then playing the move f4. But now black has played the move immediately f4. What is the difference? The difference is that after rook a7, this queen is on e7 instead of h7. That is the problem. And still, black can hold this position by accurate play. I want you to find the best defensive move for black in this position. What is the best defensive move for black in this position? How you can create some counterplay. Also, try to get out of the pin. You can't get out of the pin immediately, but after 1 to 2 moves. Is queen h7 on better? You can play it, but it's not very much better. The best move in this position is queen g7 now. The point of this queen g7 move is that now you are threatening to play these moves. Knight has to move back. Knight to h2. Now you play the move rook f7. You have this bishop is being protected. Now black is threatening to place these moves. And this was the best defense in the position. But after rook a7, black played the move queen d6. Do you see that why it is a blunder? Pause and think that why it is a blunder. This move. The problem with this move is that this queen is just, it is a positional blunder. This queen is just doing a job of a pawn. It is doing nothing. Just protecting this bishop, nothing at all. No activity. It is out of the fight. It has no squares to move to. This was a complete positional blunder, actually. Queen can't move over here, queen can't move over here, queen can't move over here, queen can't move over here. Now you understand that why this move is a blunder. This is a positional blunder. The queen is just is like a pawn. Now bishop e2 by white, bishop d8 by black, knight h2, and here white step by step improved his position. Bishop c7. Now doubling the rooks, king g7, bishop g4, bishop into bishop, knight into bishop. F7 was played, f3. And in some moves, after rook move, queen comes over here threatening the pawn. Rook comes to h5, rook to b7. It was complete a positional game. Queen d8, and you see that black pieces basically have no moves where they are going to move. And white has a lot of activity because now after rook a7, this bishop can't move. And it is a complete disaster over here. It is a complete winning position for white. And in some moves, Niels Grandulius designed the game. So, from today's video, you have learned that how to basically think in these types of positions, how to create plans, and how not to make blunders like the moves Queen d6. Never play a move like this. Remember, this square is covered, this square is covered. You can't move to these two squares. Everything is being covered. And always try to avoid these types of queen moves and your pieces moves. So, thank you very much. Okay. If you like my video, kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon button. Thank you. Bye.